Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video thumbs up. The Bold and the Beautiful, B&B spoilers for Tuesday, March 17th, indicate that Steffy Forrester Finnegan, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, will act tough and show who's boss. Melissa Dillon, Sydney Bullock, will also have a run-in, making her first day at work challenging. So let's talk about what's coming up on B&B. For starters, it appears like Ivy Forrester, Ashley Brewer, will join Electra Forrester, Linnea Grace, in grumbling about Steffy's new hire. Electra had already expressed her unhappiness, but Steffy was unwilling to withdraw her offer to Dillon. When Ivy airs her grievances, Steffy will reaffirm her choice to bring Dillon aboard. Despite Ivy and Electra's condemnation, Steffy will remain firm and force the two of them to move on. On Tuesday's episode, Electra will meet Dillon in the showroom. That will create a lot of stress, but Dillon is hoping that they can call a ceasefire for the sake of a happy workplace. Of course, Electra will not want to pretend that they can still be friends after all has transpired. Instead, Electra will chastise Dillon for making advances on Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, suspecting she desired him from the start. Will engage in a heated argument with Katie Logan Spencer, Heather Tom, and Bill Spencer, Don Diamont. Will is ready to strike out at the revelation of Eric Forrester's, John McCook, stolen ideas, but Bill may believe the Forresters have gotten inside his skull. Bill and Katie will defend themselves on Tuesday's episode, but Will not be pleased with all of the turmoil they've generated. That's especially true since R.J. Forrester, Brian Nicoletti, accused Will of being a spy who knew about Bill and Katie's scheme. Bill may claim that Will wouldn't have to deal with Forrester difficulties if he worked at Spencer Publications or Logan. Will is going to dig his heels in when it comes to his fury, but it won't get anywhere. According to the Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, Bill will not exhibit sorrow since he believes they have done nothing wrong. The tension in the Forrester Creations boardroom had been building for days, ever since Steffy Forrester made the unilateral decision to bring Dillon on as a member of the design team. The young lady, with her keen eye for current aesthetics and a history of love problems with Will Spencer, embodied everything Steffy thought the firm required to be relevant: fresh energy, daring ideas, and no fear of changing things up. However, not everyone shared her vision. Electra Forrester walked near the big windows that overlooked the Los Angeles skyline, arms crossed hard across her chest. She had always prided herself on remaining professional and keeping personal drama out of the office, but this seemed personal in every way. Dillon wasn't simply a new employee, she was the girl who kissed Will, the boy Electra had adored for so long, in a moment that still burned like an open sore. And now Steffy had welcomed her straight into their world. Ivy Forrester stood by her niece, her demeanor more controlled but no less furious. The Australian designer had returned to Forrester Creations with great expectations of recovering her position in the family history, only to find herself in continual conflict with Steffy. Ivy had witnessed too many power moves in this corporation over the years, including Steffy's, and she wasn't going to let this one go without a fight. "This isn't about jealousy," Ivy answered calmly, though her voice had an edge. "It's about professionalism. Bringing in someone with that kind of baggage disrupts everything." Electra nodded eagerly. "Exactly. We have a jewelry line to focus on. The last thing we need is awkward run-ins in the halls or whispers about who kissed who. Steffy knows this, Aunt Ivy. She just doesn't care." The door swung open with purpose, and Steffy stepped inside, her heels clicking fiercely on the smooth floor. She had a stack of drawings under one arm, but her look indicated she wasn't here for a casual perusal. Her black hair was tightly pushed back, accentuating the steely intent in her gaze. She had always served as the Forrester Empire's guardian, making difficult decisions when others hesitated. Today, that meant confronting her own family. "I heard you two were looking for me," Steffy explained, placing the sketches on the conference table with purposeful calm. "Let's not pretend this is about the new collection. This is about Dillon." Electra stopped pacing and turned to face her cousin. "You think you hired her without consulting anyone? Not me, not Ivy, not even R.J. And now she's here, working side by side with us like nothing happened." Steffy met Electra's stare without flinching. I consulted the people who matter for this decision. Myself, as co-CEO, and the bottom line. Dylan's portfolio is impressive. Her ideas align with where we need to go. Personal history doesn't get to dictate business. Ivy came forward, her voice measured but accusatory. Personal history? That's a nice way of saying she broke Electra's heart. You brought in the woman who kissed Will right in front of her. And you're surprised we're not thrilled. Steffi's jaws constricted. She expected opposition, but the ferocity of Ivy's tone stunned her. Ivy, you've been back months? And already you're acting like you run the place. Electra, I get it. You're hurt. But this company isn't a therapy session. If we let every romantic entanglement dictate hiring, we'd have no staff left. Electra's eyes blazed. This isn't just any entanglement. Dylan knew how I felt about Will. She went after him anyway. And now she's here, probably thinking she can pick up where she left off. Steffi inhaled forcefully through her nose. Then handle it like an adult. Be professional. Focus on your work. If Dylan crosses a line, bring it to me. But I'm not firing her because you two can't move past high school drama. The room was silent for a time as the weight of Steffi's comments hung heavily. Ivy shared a glance with Electra, indicating a secret understanding between them. They were not finished battling this. You think it's that simple? Ivy inquired, her accent rising with intensity. You throw around professional like it's a shield. But I've seen what happens when you play favorites, Steffi. Hope got pushed out. Now you're pushing in someone who threatens Electra's peace of mind. Where does it end? Steffi leaned on the table with her arms folded. It ends when we stop letting emotions run Forrester Creations into the ground. We have competitors breathing down our necks. Spencer Publications is launching their own line using Eric's old designs. Paid for, sure, but it's still a slap. We need talent, not grudges. Electra shakes her head. Talent. Or revenge. Admit it, Steffi. Part of this is you wanting to prove you're in control. After everything with Finn, with Hope, you're doubling down on being the queen bee. The suggestion of her personal life struck Steffi like a slap. Her marriage to Finn has been tumultuous recently, with tales of pressure floating throughout the family. But she wouldn't let it show. My personal life has nothing to do with this. And if you're implying I'm making decisions out of spite, you're wrong. I'm making them for the company. Ivy was not backing down. Then prove it. Let us meet with Dylan. Let us see if she can actually contribute without drama. If she can't, you reconsider. Steffi considered it for a long time. It was a reasonable request, demonstrating that she was not wholly irrational. But she also understood what it was. A test. A strategy for Ivy and Electra to corner the new employee and make her uncomfortable enough to depart on her own. Fine, Steffi eventually said. We'll have a meeting. All four of us. But understand this, if you two turn it into an ambush, if you make it personal instead of professional, I'll side with her. Every time. Because I won't let infighting destroy what my grandfather built. Electra's cheeks reddened with rage. You're threatening us? Your own family. I'm warning you, Steffi said. Family doesn't mean immunity. It means higher expectations. The standoff continued, the air dense with unsaid resentments. Ivy eventually spoke, and her voice was quiet. You've changed, Steffi. Or maybe you've always been like this, ruthless when it suits you. Steffi's answer was fast and sharp. Ruthless? Try realistic. You want to talk change? Look at yourself, Ivy. You came back swinging, stirring up old feuds, meddling in Electra's life like some overprotective aunt. And now you're teaming up against me because I won't let your niece's broken heart dictate policy. Electra moved between them, her voice quivering but forceful. This isn't about my heart. It's about respect. You didn't even warn me. You just did it. Steffi melted slightly, revealing the first breach in her armor. I should have told you sooner. That was my mistake. But the decision stands. Ivy shook her head slowly. Then prepare for pushback. Because we're not rolling over. Steffi straightened, her gaze fixed on both ladies. Bring it. But remember, I'm not the one who has to prove myself here. You two do. Show me you can put the company first, or step aside. With that, she grabbed her sketches and went out, leaving the door open behind her as a symbolic indication that the dispute was not finished. Electra fell into a chair and buried her face in her hands. She doesn't get it. She never will. Ivy put a hand on her niece's shoulder. She will when we make her. We're not backing down, Electra. Not this time. Dylan nervously waited across the building, in a calmer hallway, for her first official day to begin. She had no expectations regarding the reception she would receive. She also recognized that skill spoke louder than rumor. Or so she hoped. Meanwhile, in another section of the city, Will Spencer sat in his parents' living room, enraged. The Logan launch had been a commercial success, but using Eric Forrester's archives designs seemed like a betrayal to him, especially after everything with Electra and familial connections. Bill and Katie tried to explain, but Will wasn't listening. You're using his work like it's nothing. Will yelled. Eric's legacy, and you're profiting off it while his family fights over scraps. Bill leaned back, serene as always. We bought those designs fair and square, son. Business is business. Will's rage was not only about designs. It was about Electra, Dylan, and the sensation of being stuck between universes that refused to connect. Back at Forrester, the scenario was set for conflict. Steffi had drawn a line in the sand. Ivy and Electra had picked a side. And Dylan, the inadvertent trigger, was about to step into the flames. The day progressed with heated meetings, fake grins in the halls, and murmurs that resonated down the marble corridor. Steffi evaluated textiles with her team, her attention split between the debate and the greater picture. She understood hiring Dylan was a risk, but risks had helped build this firm. Her father, Ridge, had stolen them. Her grandpa, Eric, had lived near them. By late afternoon, the four women had convened in a tiny conference room. Dylan came last, her face bland but her gaze suspicious. She greeted everyone pleasantly, and Electra hardly nodded. Steffi started the debate. We're here to talk integration. Dylan, your concepts for the next jewelry capsule. Walk us through them. Dylan brought up her designs, expressing her vision. Environmentally friendly materials, strong geometric patterns inspired by modern architecture, and items that empower the user. VY listened intently, asking probing questions regarding source and practicality. Electra remained mainly silent, with her arms crossed. But as Dylan talked, something changed. Her devotion was real, and her ideas were unique. Even Ivy, reluctantly, admitted that there was substance there. Steffi saw the conversation, her strong protectiveness balanced with pride. This was why she battled for her beliefs. Dylan was the first to excuse herself as the meeting finished. The door closed behind her, and Steffi turned to face the others. Well, she inquired. Electra sighed. She's talented. I'll give her that. Ivy nodded slowly. But that doesn't erase what happened. Steffi met their gaze. No, it doesn't. But it means we move forward. Together. Or not at all. The room became silent again, and the tension diminished but did not disappear. Steffi had won this round, but she was aware that the conflict was still ongoing. In Forrester Creations, alliances changed with the seasons, and loyalty was tested on a regular basis. As the sun set lower over the city, Steffi stood alone at the window, observing the traffic below. She reflected about her children, Finn, and the legacy she carries. Fierceness was more than a quality, it was a necessity for survival. And she would battle for it regardless of who stood in her way. The tension at the Cliff home simmered just below the surface, like a storm about to explode. Steffi stood near the large glass windows, gazing out at the infinite expanse of water, but her thoughts were anything from peaceful. The waves smashed furiously against the rocks below, reflecting the torrent of emotions that was developing inside her. She'd been waiting long enough. She had endured murmurs, side looks, and the rising presence of individuals she did not trust. But patience had run out. The door behind her opened with a quiet click. She didn't have to turn around to see who it was. Ivy's presence had a way of announcing itself quietly but persistently, like a never-ending reminder. "I didn't expect you to be here," Ivy began gently, her voice full of surprise and caution. Steffi turned slowly, her look calm and controlled, but her eyes revealed a harder edge. "That's funny," she responded. "I was just thinking the same thing about you." For a time, neither lady moved. The air between them seemed electric, and every word was laden with unsaid history. Ivy took a step more into the room, attempting to keep her cool, but her stance showed a hint of doubt. "I'm not here to cause problems," Ivy stated. "I just wanted to talk." Steffi let out a low, humorless laugh. "You keep saying that. And yet, difficulties seem to follow you wherever you go." Ivy tightened somewhat. "That's not fair." "Fair?" Steffi continued, her voice raising just slightly. "You want to talk about fairness? Let's speak about how you constantly getting yourself involved in circumstances that have nothing to do with you." Before Ivy could speak, another voice interrupted. "Maybe we should all just take a breath." Electra strode into view, suddenly changing the atmosphere. She looked from Steffi to Ivy, fully realizing that she had entered into a dangerous situation. Steffi's attention shifted to her. "And there it is," she continued, her tone becoming sharper. "The reinforcement." Electra frowned. "I'm not here to take sides." "No," Steffi challenged. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've already chosen one." Ivy looked at Electra, as if quietly pleading for help, but she hesitated. She didn't want to escalate things, but she wasn't going to back down either. "Steffi, you're reading too much into this," Electra replied. "We're just trying to—" "Don't," Steffi said firmly. "Do not tell me what I am doing. I see exactly what is going on." Her voice had a new ferocity, no longer constrained. The placid facade she had cultivated was crumbling, revealing the ferocious resolve beneath. "I've worked too hard to build my life, my family, my future," she went on, "and I'm not going to stand here and let anyone, threaten that." Ivy crossed her arms, her patience becoming thin. "Nobody is threatening you. You're acting as if we're your enemies." Steffi stepped forward, her gaze fixed on Ivy's. "Are you?" The question lingered in the air, weighty and uncompromising. Electra moved uneasily. "This is getting out of hand." "No," Steffi said without breaking eye contact. "What's gotten out of hand is the way boundaries keep getting ignored." Ivy's expression stiffened. "Maybe those boundaries aren't as clear as you think." That was it. The last spark. Steffi's serenity was entirely destroyed, replaced by a strong, unwavering intensity. "Oh, they're clear," she said back. "It was very clear. You just choose not to respect them." Ivy walked forward, refusing to be intimidated. "And maybe you're just trying to control everything and everyone around you." Steffi's jaws constricted. "I protect what's mine. Or you smother it," Ivy said. Electra lifted her hands slightly, attempting to alleviate the tension. "This is not benefiting anyone. We should stay out of it," Steffi shouted, her attention shifting to Electra. "This doesn't concern you." "It does if I'm being dragged into it," Electra said, her voice becoming stronger. "You don't get to dictate who's involved." Steffi turned completely toward her, her expression flaming. "I don't have to prescribe anything. Your actions speak for themselves." Electra met her look and refused to back down. "And so do yours." The room slipped into a tight quiet that seemed like it may burst at any moment. Steffi drew a long breath, but it did little to quell the fire within her. "Let me make something very clear," she continued, her voice quiet but determined. I'm not going to sit back and watch lines go crossed. Not anymore. Ivy shakes her head. You're creating drama where there doesn't need to be any. No, Steffi said. I'm calling it out. Electra sighed, obviously agitated. Exactly what do you think we're doing? Steffi did not hesitate. You're undermining me. Pushing boundaries. See how far you can go. Ivy's eyes opened slightly. That's not true. Isn't it? Steffi challenged. Because it sure feels that way. Ivy paused for a little period, and it was noticed. Steffi caught it right away. See? That's right there. That is what I am talking about. Electra spoke out again, this time with a calm tone. Even if there have been misunderstandings, blowing this up isn't the answer. Steffi expelled a quick breath. Do you think this is me blowing things up? You have not seen anything yet. The warning in her voice was clear. Ivy's countenance changed, indicating a mix of annoyance and concern. What is that supposed to mean? It implies, Steffi murmured, her eyes shifting between the two of them, that I'm finished being patient. I'm over giving chances. If you push me, I'll push back. Hard. Electra's eyes narrowed slightly. Are you threatening us? Steffi did not flinch. I'm setting boundaries. By frightening others? Ivy inquired. By standing my ground, Steffi said. The vibe in the room altered again, this time becoming electric rather than strained. Every statement seemed like a step toward something permanent. Electra crossed her arms, replicating Ivy's previous attitude. You don't get to decide everything, Steffi. Steffi cocked her head slightly. Watch me. Ivy laughed in disbelief. This is unbelievable. No, Steffi said gently. What's unbelievable is how far this has gone without anyone calling it out. She took another step forward, her presence powerful and unwavering. So I'm calling it out now. Electra looked at Ivy and then back at Steffi. So what happens next?